Hello everyone and welcome to Myth and Magic. I love black lipstick. I like what it does to my skin. It just kind of blurs it out, and that's how my hot pink one looks too. And so I wish black lipstick was a little more of a thing, but I thought it would be appropriate for today's deity. And of course, we are talking about the Morrigan. So first things first, who is the Morrigan? Where does she come from? And we know that she is a Celtic deity, because that is what we are talking about right now. So first, the Morrigan, also known as Morrigu, is one of the most mysterious and powerful figures in Irish mythology, and also probably one of the most popular and well-known. In fact, she is probably the first Celtic deity I had ever heard of, and she seems to pop up a little more frequently in pop culture than other Celtic deities. She is often depicted as a goddess of war. In fact, she is the goddess of war, fate, and death, but her origins and birth are shrouded in myth and legend. There's not a whole lot recorded from ancient texts that kind of talk about this. But in many tales, the Morrigan is part of the Tuatha De Danann, a race of divine beings in Irish mythology, if you don't know from previous videos. And according to some accounts, she is the daughter of Ernmis, a mother goddess of the Tuatha De Danann. Ernmis is also said to have several children, and the Morrigan is often associated with her sisters Badb and Macha. Together, these three sisters are sometimes referred to as a trio of war goddesses, although the Morrigan can also be seen as an individual entity. So one of the most detailed accounts of the Morrigan's birth and lineage can be found in the Lebor Gabala Aaron, or the Book of Invasions, an 11th century compilation of the Irish mythology and history. According to this text, the Morrigan and her sisters are the daughters of Delbaith and Ernmis. Delbaith, also known as Tyrion, is a figure associated with fire and wisdom. And it just says that this is her lineage, her parentage, and that's kind of the concept of her birth. There's not a whole lot going on. She didn't, like Brigid, didn't have this kind of manifestation of light and flame, and she didn't have the dual lineage of Luke. So just two parents, and she was birthed along with her sisters and probably a couple of other deities. The Morrigan is often depicted as a striking, formidable figure befitting her role as a war goddess. However, her appearance can vary widely, as she is a shapeshifter. Like, this is one of her prominent features. And with the ability to transform into different figures, her appearance will obviously alter. Her human form, she is often portrayed as a beautiful yet intimidating woman. She is sometimes described with long, flowing dark hair and piercing eyes that can see into the souls of those who look upon her. Her attire can vary, but she is frequently depicted wearing dark battle-ready clothing, often adorned with feathers or other symbols of war. Her animal forms are interesting. They all are associated with war and her role as a goddess. So she can first take on various animals, and the one that is most associated with her is the crow or the raven. The Morrigan is often seen as a crow or a raven, birds that symbolize death and war, and in this form she can be an omen of impending conflict or a harbinger of doom. And this is the feature of hers that I became first familiar with when I was exposed to the idea of her. But her other forms include the wolf, which is the embodiment of her ferocity and cunning, of this particularly powerful predator. She can transform also into an eel, and this represents her ability to navigate and adapt to different situations. It's I think we'll talk about that a little bit later. We're going to kind of go through the animals again with a bit of a different light on it, but for now this is kind of her appearance and what she can do. The Morrigan is also sometimes depicted as a triple goddess, embodying 3 different aspects or personas. In this form, she may appear alongside her sisters, Badb and Macha, or she may represent different facets of herself with this kind of triple personality thing. Also, I'm not sure if it's Macha or Macha. I'm trying to remember my Gaelic, but I don't remember what the CH does. So I apologize if I am mispronouncing that one. So this depiction emphasizes her complexity and multifaceted nature. The Morrigan's appearance is closely tied to her role and the context in which she is encountered. Her ability to change form and her association with both beauty and terror make her one of the most intriguing and enigmatic figures in Irish mythology. And honestly, as I was doing my research as a player of D&D, I couldn't help but think of how she is on one hand almost a berserker or barbarian and your classic fighter. She kind of feeds off of the battlefield, and we'll talk more about that later, but those are the 2 classes. And I would say that she would probably be multi-classed in both, and obviously with some druidic abilities with shape-shifting and magic, so maybe a triple threat. But anyway, that doesn't matter. We're not really talking about D&D. So the Morrigan's personality is a complex and multifaceted aspect of her, as I just mentioned, with kind of this triple thing in what I can associate her with. And she embodies many characteristics that reflect her influence over war, fate, and prophecy. So here's some kind of key traits that define her. So first, she is formidable and fearsome. As a war goddess, the Morrigan is often depicted as intimidating and fearsome. She thrives in the chaos of battle and has a powerful presence that strikes fear into the hearts of her enemies. Her ability to incite panic and terror is a testament to her formidable nature. And this actually makes me think more paladin, because paladins have a couple of spells that kind of emphasize their presence, but this could also be a skill thing, like a intimidation check. Sorry, I'm rearing to go play. We just had a session last Saturday, and I want to play all the time. So it's on my brain, sorry. Morrigan is also mystical and enigmatic. Her connection to the other world and her shape-shifting abilities add an air of mystery and enigma to her character. She is not easily understood or predictable, and her motives can be inscrutable. This mystique makes her a compelling and intriguing figure, and honestly, her whole vibe is something that I think has really drawn on individuals like me, because she was obviously the first god. I knew Greek gods, but she was the first god that I was really drawn towards, especially in my high school years, and that need for power. I still love her, but I think my personality is now kind of shifted more towards Brigid, and I have this undercurrent of the Morrigan, but she is no longer the primary dominance in my life. I am a better person than I used to be. Not that I was ever bad, but anyway. The Morrigan is also cunning and strategic. She is known for her mind and influence over the outcome of battles through her foresight and manipulation, using her intelligence to achieve her goals. Her strategic thinking makes her a powerful and influential force in mythology. And if you remember, when we were talking about the Dagda, she was mentioned as one of the people who helped in one of the battles against the Fomorians, which we'll probably talk about in part 2 with her story times. I think she has the most stories. Our next deity doesn't have any, so we'll be moving along from there. But first, we're still talking about her personality. So she is also protective and kind of a sovereign figure. Despite her association with war and death, she has a protective side. She's often seen as a guardian of the land and its sovereignty, defending her people from threats and ensuring their well-being. This protective aspect adds depth to her character, showing that her actions are not solely driven by destruction. Morrigan is a fiercely independent deity who operates on her own terms. She is not bound by the will of others and follows her own path. Her autonomy is a significant aspect of her personality, highlighting her strength and self-sufficiency. As a goddess of prophecy, the Morrigan possesses the ability to foresee and influence the future, like we kind of mentioned before. Her visions and prophecies are often cryptic and profound, reflecting her deep connection to the forces of fate. This prophetic aspect underscores her wisdom and otherworldly insight. Morrigan's personality is characterized by duality and complexity. She embodies both the destructive and protective aspects of war. Her multifaceted nature allows her to kind of navigate different roles and personas. This duality makes her a rich and layered character in mythology. Overall, her personality is a blend of fearsome power, strategic intelligence, protective guardianship, and mystic enigma. Her complex and depth make her one of the most fascinating and enduring figures in Irish mythology, which can be attested to the fact that I knew her before I started really delving into this. Now, the Morrigan has a wide range of powers and attributes that make her one of the most formidable. And we've kind of already touched on some of them via her personality and kind of what we were talking about before, but we're going to touch on them with a little bit more of a focused lens. So here are some of her key powers and abilities. So, Harbinger of Fate and Death. The Morrigan is also associated with fate and death. She has the ability to foresee and influence the destinies of individuals, not just the outcomes of battles, and entire armies. Her prophecies often foretell doom and destruction, and her presence is a signal that death is near, often, as we mentioned before, in the form of a raven or a crow. In some tales, this one's interesting, she appears as a washerwoman washing the bloodstained clothes of those who are about to die in battle. So almost like a banshee, but instead of screaming to signal that someone is going to die, their scream does not cause death, unlike what many pop culture's media like to interpret, but it's wrong. I have done a lot of research on banshees and there's not a whole lot, but anyway, that is a creature we will talk about eventually. We talked about how she is the protector of sovereignty. So in some interpretations, the Morrigan is seen as a protector of the land and its sovereignty. She is closely tied to the kingship and the well-being of the realm, and her actions and interventions often serve to defend the land and its people from invaders and threats. We talked about her being a triple goddess and how she is sometimes depicted in this way, embodying 3 different aspects or personas, which include herself, Badb and Macha. This tripartite nature represents the complexity and multifaceted roles she plays in mythology, encompassing war, prophecy, and sovereignty. So that's kind of the triple thing we're talking about. We mentioned that the Morrigan has a strong connection to the other world, which is a realm of spirit and deities, which is kind of where all of the spirits, fae, gods, that's kind of where they're supposedly hanging out. This connection underscores her mystical and supernatural nature, as well as her ability to traverse different realms and influence events in the mortal world. We mentioned she's a shapeshifter, and this includes animals that are associated with war and death. And this power allows her to navigate different realms and situations with ease, and are often associated, again, with war and death. And this further emphasizes her role in those kind of realms. The Morrigan is a seer with the power to foretell the future. She can provide cryptic and profound prophecies that reveal the fates of individuals and entire armies. Her visions often come true, highlighting her connection to the forces of fate. The Morrigan is primarily known as the war goddess. She embodies the chaos, destruction, and bloodshed of battle. Her presence on the battlefield is said to incite fear and panic among enemies, leading to their defeat. So she kind of just paralyzes them with her presence. As a war goddess, the Morrigan can influence the outcome of battles. She can also provide strength and courage to her allies. And I mean, again, a lot of this, the more, initially I was thinking barbarian fighter, but the more I review this, I'm actually thinking paladin is more of her speed. Maybe a, what's that subclass? Conquest, I think, is what I'm thinking of. So she is also capable of flight and teleportation. Obviously flight in her crow form, but the Morrigan can fly swiftly across great distances, and this ability allows her to appear and disappear at will, making her elusive and difficult to track, which is super useful. The Morrigan has control over the natural elements and can manipulate them to her advantage. She can summon storms, create fog, and influence the weather to affect the outcome of battles and other events. Although primarily associated with war and death, the Morrigan also has healing powers, just like Brigid and Luke. I don't remember if the Dagda has healing powers, but she can provide protection and aid to those she deems worthy, ensuring their survival and well-being. The Morrigan is known for her fearsome and intimidating presence. Her aura of power and authority commands respect and fear, making her a formidable force on and off the battlefield. The Morrigan is a master strategist with a keen mind for tactics and manipulation. So she's a bit like Athena, but a little more chaotic, I think. She uses her intelligence to influence events and achieve her goals, often outsmarting her opponents. She is the symbol of death and rebirth because of her association with war and death. Her influence extends beyond destruction as she plays a role in the cycle of life and renewal. So a lot going on with the Morrigan, like most other Celtic deities. But now we're going to move into her symbols, which will kind of be a review of her animal forms, but also a couple of other things. So we have the crow and raven, which is one of the most prominent symbols of the Morrigan. And these birds are often seen as omens of death and war, which is kind of it's just one of those ones that traditionally it has always been that way, and I wonder if this is where it started. I don't know for sure, obviously. Along with them being kind of symbols of war and death, they also are a symbol of her connection to her prophecy abilities. She's frequently depicted in the form of a crow or raven, or accompanied by these birds. And I think one of the initial visuals I had in my mind of her was her in these black robes on a battlefield of just death and blood, and just ravens surrounding her everywhere, just populating the whole field. The wolf, as we mentioned, is kind of the symbol of her ferocity and cunning, but it also represents her predatory nature and her ability to navigate the complexities of war. And I imagine this is because of the way that wolves hunt in pack tactics and things like that, and how they're very intelligent, and also make me think of raptors from Jurassic Park. If you don't know, not only am I a fantasy nerd, I love Jurassic Park, and I love raptors. So the eel, one of her lesser known symbols, represents her adaptability and resilience, and in some tales, she transforms into an eel to escape danger or to outmaneuver her enemies. Now, moving away from the animals, we have blood and battlefields. This is a powerful symbol of the Morrigan's connection to war and death. She is often depicted in scenes of battle surrounded by blood and fallen warriors. The battlefield itself is a symbol of her domain and influence. But aside from that, we have the washer at the ford, if you remember. The woman cleaning the blood from those who are going to die or their clothes. One of the Morrigan's most iconic depictions is that of the washer at the ford. So in this form, she appears as an old woman, and she's washing the blood from those who are going to dye their clothes. I don't know why I'm having a hard time remembering to say wash the blood from the clothes of those who are going to die. But this symbol emphasizes her role as a harbinger of death and her connection to fate. And oftentimes you will see the Morrigan in art and depictions of her in the Triple Goddess. So either her as a single entity with her 3 different aspects, or with her sisters creating 3 separate individuals. You will also see her in shape-shifted kind of depictions, but another one that I think is probably more interesting. Well, no, I think the most interesting is her being the woman washing blood. But she can also be seen as a warrior woman in her human form, fierce and powerful, wearing her battle attire, wielding weapons, and surrounded by symbols of war. Her appearance in this form underscores, obviously, her role as a goddess of war and battle. So far, 1, 2, 3, these are depictions that you can see people do art of her and things like that. And then you have the Morrigan is sometimes depicted as a guardian of the land and its sovereignty. And this may be shown with her alongside kings or leaders, symbolizing her influence over the well-being of the realm. And then you have her depicted as a prophetic figure, often shown in scenes of divination or fortune-telling, or foretelling the future. I guess it's fortune-telling. Her connection to prophecy is an essential aspect of her character, and these depictions highlight her ability to see and influence fate. And these depictions attempt to capture or do capture the essence of the Morrigan and reflect her complex and multifaceted nature. Her imagery continues to inspire and intrigue those who explore the rich tapestry of Irish mythology. And this can also be seen in our next section, which is her worship. The Morrigan was venerated as a powerful and influential deity in ancient Irish mythology, and her worship was deeply connected to the themes of war, fate, and sovereignty. While there are limited historical records, as I mentioned at the very beginning of this video, about the specific practices and cults dedicated to the Morrigan, there are several aspects of her worship that can be inferred from mythology and archaeological findings. So first we have rituals and offerings. Worship of the Morrigan likely involved rituals and offerings made to gain her favor, especially before battles. These offerings could have included animal sacrifices, libations, and other ritualistic acts meant to invoke her protection and support in warfare, which makes a lot of sense. Warriors and chieftains might have invoked the Morrigan's aid before going into battle, seeking her guidance and strength. Her presence was believed to provide a psychological edge, striking fear into the hearts of enemies and emboldening her followers. Certain natural locations, such as rivers, forts, and battlefields, may have been considered sacred to the Morrigan. These sites could have served as places of worship and ritual. The ford, in particular, is associated with her role as the washer at the ford, where she would foretell the deaths of warriors. But it wasn't all about death and destruction. Festivals and ceremonies dedicated to the Morrigan may have been held to honor her and seek her blessings. These events could have included feasts, communal gatherings, and performances of mythological stories involving the Morrigan. So her influence spans over time. Although the specific cults and worship practices dedicated to the Morrigan may not be well documented, her influence can be seen in the continued reverence for her in Irish folklore and cultural memory. The Morrigan's legacy extends beyond ancient worship, as she remains a prominent figure in modern interpretations of Celtic mythology and neo-pagan practices. In contemporary times, the Morrigan is often venerated by practitioners of neo-paganism and modern Druidry. She is seen as a symbol of empowerment, transformation, and resilience. Rituals and practices honoring her today may draw inspiration from ancient mythology while adapting to modern spiritual contexts. The worship of the Morrigan, both in the past and present, reflects her enduring significance as a powerful and enigmatic goddess. My mouth is having the hardest time forming words, who continues to captivate and inspire those who seek her guidance and protection. Today, modern practitioners often conduct rituals and ceremonies to honor the Morrigan. These rituals may involve invoking her presence, offering symbolic items, and performing acts that reflect her attributes, such as strength, courage, and transformation. Rituals can be conducted individually or in groups, often during significant times of the year, such as Samhain or the equinox. Many devotees create altars or sacred spaces dedicated to the Morrigan in their homes or in nature. These altars may include representations of her symbols such as crows, ravens, wolves, and other items associated with war and prophecy. Offerings of food and drink, feathers, or other meaningful objects are often placed on the altar as a sign of reverence. Meditation and visualization practices are commonly used to connect with the Morrigan. Practitioners may visualize her forms or journeys to the other world to seek her guidance and wisdom. These practices can help foster a deep spiritual connection with the goddess. Devotees often engage in the study of Irish mythology and folklore to gain a deeper understanding of the Morrigan stories and attributes. Reading ancient texts, participating in workshops, and joining discussion groups are ways to enrich one's knowledge and appreciation of her legacy. The Morrigan also kind of inspires this personal empowerment and transformation. So modern worship of the Morrigan often focuses on personal empowerment and embracing one's inner strength and resilience. Practitioners may call upon her for support during challenging times, seeking her guidance to overcome obstacles and transform their lives. There's also shadow work. So the Morrigan's association with death and rebirth makes her a powerful figure for those engaging in shadow work, which is exploring and kind of integrating the darker aspects of the self. Working with the Morrigan can help individuals confront fears, heal past traumas, and embrace transformation. Neo-pagan and Druid communities often hold gatherings and festivals where the Morrigan is honored. These events provide opportunity for like-minded individuals to come together, share their practices, and celebrate the goddess through rituals, storytelling, and communal activities. The internet has enabled the formation of online communities where devotees of the Morrigan can connect, share experiences, and exchange knowledge. Social media groups, forums, and websites dedicated to her worship offer a platform for support and learning, which is something that we've talked about throughout basically everything we have gotten through so far, including the Greek gods. Artistic and creative expression through the Morrigan is a little more present than for the other Celtic gods we have talked about. So first, many modern worshippers express their devotion to the Morrigan through artistic and creative endeavors. And this can include creating artwork, writing poetry, composing music, and crafting items that reflect her symbolism and attributes. Artistic expression allows practitioners to channel their connection to the goddess in a personal and meaningful way. There's also storytelling and performance, which are important aspects of modern worship. Recounting myths and legends of the Morrigan through spoken word, theater, or other performances helps keep her stories alive and relevant in contemporary culture. The Morrigan's enduring presence in modern spiritual practices reflect her timeless appeal and the profound impact she continues to have on those who seek her guidance and strength. And continuing with the idea of art, she has been portrayed and it has inspired a vast array of artistic expression over the centuries, from ancient artifacts to contemporary works. So in ancient art, the Morrigan has been depicted in various Celtic artifacts, including carvings, jewelry, and ceremonial objects. These artifacts often feature symbols associated with her, such as crows, ravens, and scenes of battle. In ancient Ireland, stone carvings and monuments sometimes featured representations of the Morrigan. These carvings often depicted her in various forms, such as a warrior woman or a crow, highlighting her multifaceted nature. In medieval times, we have the illuminated manuscripts manuscripts, which we mentioned before in our other Celtic deities. She appears in these manuscripts from the medieval period, such as the Labor Gabala Erin, or Book of Invasions, which we mentioned before, and the Táin Bó Cúailnge. Irish is hard. Cattle Raid of Cooley. This is the story. These manuscripts often feature intricate illustrations and marginalia that depict scenes from her myths and legends. In contemporary art, modern artists have been captivated by the Morrigan's powerful and enigmatic presence, leading to a plethora of paintings and illustrations. These works often portray her in dynamic and dramatic scenes, emphasizing her connection to war, prophecy, and shape-shifting. And if you can hear water in the background, I apologize. We're a basement apartment, and this wall is where the plumbing is. Contemporary sculptures and statues of the Morrigan can be found in various artistic installations and private collections. These pieces often capture her fierce and commanding presence, portraying her as both a warrior and a mystic. In digital art, we have people who create stunning works of the Morrigan, and they often blend traditional Celtic motifs with modern design elements, and showing her timeless appeal and relevance. Morrigan has also been a popular character in modern literature and graphic novels. Authors and illustrators have reimagined her myths, bringing her stories to new audiences through engaging narratives and visuals. In some urban areas, murals and street art featuring the Morrigan can be found. These public artworks often celebrate her legacy and highlight her significance in Irish culture and mythology. The Morrigan is often featured in exhibitions and cultural festivals that celebrate Celtic mythology and heritage. These events provide a platform for artists to showcase their interpretations of her, fostering a deeper appreciation for her myth and stories. The Morrigan's rich and multifaceted nature continues to inspire artists across various mediums, keeping her legacy alive and resonate in the modern world. The Morrigan has made her mark in various aspects of modern pop culture, reflecting her enduring appeal and the fascination with her mythological roots. Here are some notable examples of how the Morrigan has been represented in contemporary media. The Morrigan often appears in fantasy literature where her character is reimagined and woven into new narratives. Authors like Juliet Marillier and Morgan Llewellyn have incorporated her into their works, exploring her complex nature and powerful presence. She has also been featured in graphic novels and comic books in the Wicked plus the Divine series by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKelvey, where she is portrayed as a modern deity with a dark and enigmatic persona. In RPG or role-playing games, the Morrigan is a popular character in the Dragon Age series by BioWare. Morrigan is a character, or represented as a character, named Morrigan, who is inspired by the goddess, embodying her mystical and shape-shifting attributes. The game Smite also features the Morrigan as a playable character, emphasizing her role as a powerful and strategic deity. In TV, the Morrigan has been depicted as a formidable and mysterious figure, like in the show Lost Girl. She appears as a powerful failure, while in American Gods, she is portrayed as a modern incarnation of the ancient goddess. While less common in mainstream film, the Morrigan's influence can be seen in movies that draw on Celtic mythology and themes of war and prophecy. Her character often serves as a source of inspiration for powerful and enigmatic female figures. And in music, the Morrigan has inspired various songs and bands, particularly in the genres of folk, metal, and Celtic music. Bands like the Morrigan and songs like Morrigan by bands like Children of Bodom and Therion pay homage to her mythological legacy. In jewelry and crafts, the Morrigan symbols, such as crows and ravens, are popular motifs in jewelry and in crafts. Many artisans create pieces inspired by her mythology, including pendants, rings, and other accessories that reflect her powerful presence. The Morrigan's presence in pop culture highlights her timeless appeal and the enduring fascination with her character. Her influence spans various media, from literature and video games to music and art, ensuring that her legacy continues to captivate and inspire new generations. And that is it. That's the Morrigan. A little bit more content than our other Celtic deities. She is fairly popular, and we did kind of review some of her things throughout the video because they kind of jumped around in what aspect and what we were talking about. So there's the Morrigan. I really enjoy this deity. She is what got me into Celtic mythology, and I think she's super cool. It'd be fun to play a D&D character based off of her, but honestly, you could go so many different ways with her. A conquest paladin with druid multi-class might actually be interesting, but I could also see her as a barbarian or a fighter. Maybe I'll play around with a build. I don't know if anyone watching these cares about D&D, but obviously it is a very large part of my life. In fact, the book I am currently focusing on is my love letter to TTRPG games and my experience with them. So yes, it's on my brain all the time. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you were able to learn something new about the Morrigan. If you are already familiar with her, let me know in the comments below. Do you like the Morrigan? Do you like Celtic mythology? Are you enjoying this series? Let me know all of those things, and what mythology or god or goddess or even mythological figure you would like for me to cover. I have things planned out just to help me make sure that I am being consistent and focused, but I am happy to deviate if there is a desire for something that is not on my agenda yet. But anyway, I am grateful for you being here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be kind and pursue those dreams, and I will see you next time. Bye.